Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hi there to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. Welcome back from the weekend. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories right away. The president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto, has been escorted manual military as he left his Bonaparte residence to Yaoundé. That was today. Professor Kamto was kept incommunicado for almost 24 hours following a massive mobilization of young people in some streets of Douala to welcome him back from Paris, France. The huge crowd which gathered again today waited in vain at the CRM headquarters in Deido, Douala, as Professor Kamto was whisked off to Yaoundé discreetly. A roundup of the mobilization of Professor Maurice Kamto's presence in Douala as well as his departure to Yaoundé in this news edition. And also in this edition of the news, in Nous, a group of students of a government technical high school allegedly beat up an invigilator. They are accused of being strict while invigilating their exams. And plus, heavy rains and strong winds caused enormous material damage in the northwest and also in the west regions, precisely in Nkambe and Bafang. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Details and more when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We told you a while ago that the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto, has been escorted manual military somehow as he left his Bonaparte residence to Yaoundé. Today, Professor Kamto was kept incommunicado for almost 24 hours following a massive mobilization of young people in some streets of Douala to welcome him back from Paris, France. The huge crowd which gathered again today waited in vain to listen to Professor Maurice Kamto. Our reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, tells us more in the report. This comes up next.
After close to 45 hours under house arrest, Professor Maurice Kamto, national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, left this area of Bonaparte in the Douala 1 municipality at exactly 12:45 p.m. He left accompanied by key officials of the CRM political party, among them Abe Zonga, advisor to Professor Maurice Kamto, key ally of the CRM political party, Barrister Sikati Desiree, a key member of the party, and a host of others. We could also see police officials and few gendarmerie officials in the convoy of those accompanying the CRM party. I moved closer to Abenzonga, who was discussing with a key official of the police. Abenzonga was categorical that he and the CRM party, including Professor Maurice Kamto, did not want to be accompanied by police officials, but after some negotiations, he entered the vehicle and the convoy kick-started, headed for Yaoundé. What we also noticed was that some CRM party supporters who left Daido in Grand Moulin came around, but were pushed about 400 meters away by the security officials who did not want anybody close to the residence where he was. And the CRM party leader left, just accompanied by police officials, as I indicated, and key officials of the party, headed for Yaoundé. From Bonaparte in the Douala 1 municipality, Chofi Chunke, for me, Armstrong Sander, for Equinoxe Television.
Thank you for me. As we just said a while ago, Professor Maurice Kamto should be now in Yaoundé. He was whisked off discreetly by security forces. And now, still on that issue, relative calm reigns at the CRM littoral headquarters in Grand Moulin, Deido here in Douala today after a busy weekend with militants and sympathizers of the CRM party who were eager to meet and listen to Professor Maurice Kamto. At about 10 a.m. Today, the gendarmes and police officers gradually left the CRM headquarters upon learning of Professor Kamto's departure to Yaoundé. Innocent Ase with the details.
It was a relatively serene atmosphere around Grand Moulin Daido Monday morning and afternoon after the tension Sunday at the CRM headquarters, where hundreds of Cameroonians assembled to welcome their political leader, Professor Maurice Kamto, who was blocked from leaving the residence where he lost in Bonapriso. On Monday, circulation of motorcycles and vehicles was fluid, with security forces stationed at all entrances from the government's bilingual high school Daido roundabout to the CRM headquarters, where in the morning was still besieged by gendarmes and police officers after Kamto gave an appointment for Monday at 10 a.m. There, persons were restricted from standing anywhere around the CRM building. Some were bundled on gendarmerie and police pick-up vehicles. This in a bid to avoid a large and noisy crowd like on Sunday that stemmed from little gatherings. The security forces also made sure bikes and vehicles do not station around. On the other hand, shops were opened and owners went about their activities unperturbed, unlike on Sunday.
I know that fear because they know when they come to
Between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m., the heavy presence of the security forces diminished, apparently after receiving information the CRM leader was finally departing Douala for Yaoundé. Some CRM militants and supporters who spoke to us expressed frustration for the second time.
I'm very disappointed today because today no people. What we are here does not happen. The president is not here. The president cannot come here because they ask us to go back and to check our phone if there is a new situation. Le président a sorti une autre fois disant que pour ne pas créer les émeutes, il préfère rentrer sur Yaoundé.
Professor Maurice Kamto has told them in a video on Sunday to remain calm and only come out massively in October to vote for political transition.
In the second part of the news, we will be talking more on Professor Maurice Kamto's presence in Douala and his departure to Yaoundé. Now we talk something else. A rare and powerful tornado or strong winds have struck a primary school in Cameroon's conflict-affected northwest region, precisely in Nkambe, destroying 6 blocks of classrooms and offices just one day before the end of year examinations. The disaster has thrown hundreds of pupils into uncertainty, as Stella tells us from Bamenda.
Sunday, June 8, marked a devastating turn for Government Primary School Group 2 in Nkambe, located in Cameroon's Dunga-Matung division, as a violent tornado ripped through the campus.
We do honor for Njangi house. Then some member just come up for outside. We just hear where the shot for the same. They will come outside. One come outside. We see now only they win. As they win, we go up so wide. Even for my village, from them, from one subdivision, nobody don't ever see them.
The storm destroyed 6 blocks of classrooms and offices just 2 days before about 312 pupils, including internally displaced children, were set to sit for the first school leaving certificate examination.
We experienced a very violent tornado which completely destroyed about 6 blocks of the Government Primary School Group 2, which is actually the main center for the first school living certificate here in Nkambe. At the time this was happening, material had not yet been brought to the school.
The destruction left school authorities scrambling to find an emergency solution for the 9 schools to be hosted by the center.
We have come to prepare and label the rooms in Group 1 because all the 7 classes that were labeled are all scattered. We cannot use them. So we have moved the center to Group 1.
Although the tornado struck at the end of the school year, concerned parents are urging the government to prioritize the rebuilding of the school, whose oldest structures date back to 1975, in time for the next academic year. This rare and destructive weather event has reignited discussions about disaster preparedness and climate resilience in Cameroon's highlands regions. While such storms are historically uncommon in the area, recent reports from the National Observatory on Climate Change have increasingly warned of extreme weather linked to changing climate patterns.
And still on the consequences of the strong winds of yesterday, at least 10 families have been rendered homeless following heavy rains and also floods in Bafang, a locality in the west region of the country. Residents say the floods have been a major problem in the area for more than 5 years now. They are calling the local authorities to address the problem. Mala Glory reports.
Of Rongpoint Bachi, Banka in the west region, are still counting their losses after the devastating floods that left a huge destruction in its wake. A building submerged in water, household furnitures, other equipment and foodstuff all soaked. This is following heavy rains that hit the neighborhood over the weekend, which provoked flooding, thus leaving victims helpless. My family has been sleeping at my in-laws' place, but since I can't continue keeping them there, I had to look for ways myself to dry the water by cleaning the drainage and the road. We face flooding in this area each rainy season, and this has been going on for years now. I had to protect my cement blocks from the water. The victims say poor drainage system and unfinished roads are all contributing to flooding in the area. They also accuse a petroleum company for not cleaning the drainage. The main issue now is for the drainage system to be properly cleaned, beginning from the Bafang company. There are waste material in the drainage and it's blocked at the Bafang entrance. The drainage constructed on the Bafang is very narrow, so there is need to break and redo the drainage. Residents of this neighborhood say they have been suffering from flooding for more than 5 years, yet the authorities concerned paid deaf ears to their numerous complaints.
Now let's move over to one of our lead stories today. A teacher of the government technical high school in Nous, Mongo Division, is currently receiving medical attention in the hospital. He is being accused of being strict while invigilating. Jouées Secretary is reported to have been tortured by students after he seized unauthorized papers from them during the probatoire and CAP technical examinations. However, the information has been contradicted by school authorities of GTHS Nous. Lucy Liengo is here. Tells us more.
Jouées Secretary, a teacher at Government Technical High School in Nous, Mongo Division, denounces the torture and harassment he received from students of the probatoire and CAP technique on Wednesday night. Secretary claims he was harassed by a group of students between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Wednesday night who warned him never to seize papers from their pockets, which they intended to use in the examination rooms. However, the principal of Government Technical High School Nous and Secretary's colleagues outrightly reject the claims of assault, stating that Secretary was not programmed to oversee the exams that week.
Il est très addict à l'alcool et parfois il pose donc des actes qui ne sont pas bons, qui ne respectent pas l'éthique professionnelle.
They also criticize his behavior towards both colleagues and students, alleging that he is an alcoholic.
Pas une fois ni deux fois.
Not once, not twice, I was called to come help him from where he fell to his residence. At the medical center where he was rushed by his parents, medical reports indicate injuries inflicted on him, but he is currently recovering.
Lors de notre examen, nous avons constaté qu'il avait plusieurs lésions.
During the medicals, we noticed he had several injuries on his entire body.
Sur tout le corps. Puis vous dire qu'il est déjà que son état est en nette évolution.
As of now, no complaints have been filed against the students, nor a medical certificate been submitted. However, the major curiosity remains the apparent discord between the teacher, colleagues, and the school authorities, notably the principal.
Sad indeed. In other news, as the 2025 presidential election draws near, Cameroon stands at a critical juncture somehow. The Cameroon New Vision Group, led by renowned journalist Eric Chinje, is sounding the alarm, urging media professionals to make a proactive stance in shaping the national narrative and steering the country towards a brighter future. Immaculate Fogwe read through the letter and came up with this report.
Veteran journalist Eric Chinje, in a letter addressed to media professionals and social media influencers in Cameroon, paints a bleak picture of Cameroon characterized by poor governance, corruption, mismanagement, fear of electoral fraud, and shrinking space for constructive discourse. He highlights the critical role of the media in shaping Cameroon's future ahead of the 2025 presidential elections. To him, Cameroon is at a critical juncture, facing escalating political, economic and social crises, and so journalists should play a vital role in shaping the narrative. He goes further to outline the role of the media in prioritizing responsible journalism that informs, seeks solutions, and provides fact-based perspective. He calls on the media to identify a kind of leader that can help promote a consensus-building process. He stresses on the need for the media to hold leaders accountable while advocating for a shift that does not prioritize personalities and scandals, but rather tackles real issues facing Cameroon. He adds that the future of Cameroon depends on the actions taken now, and that the media has a vital role in shaping the narrative and promoting informed dialogue in order to get the meaningful change and shape a prosperous future for Cameroon. He calls on Cameroonians not to be spectators, but standard bearers of truth, while urging media professionals to reclaim the profession's highest ideals and contribute to shaping a prosperous future.
In foreign news, Rwanda plans or withdraws from ACAS due to tensions over the M23 rebels in eastern Congo. The bloc retained Equatorial Guinea's leadership, which Rwanda criticized. However, the U.S. is seeking to facilitate a peace agreement between Congo and Rwanda to encourage Western investment in the mineral-rich region. And elsewhere, Sudan is facing a cholera outbreak with over 1,000 new cases reported daily in Khartoum. The crisis is driven by access to contaminated water amidst the civil war in Sudan. Lucy Liengo is here with our foreign page roundup.
Rwanda has announced its intention to withdraw from the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, highlighting ongoing diplomatic tensions in the region due to the recent attacks by Rwanda-supported M23 rebels in the eastern part of Congo. Kigali was poised to assume the chairmanship of the 11-member organization during a meeting scheduled for Saturday in Equatorial Guinea. However, the bloc decided to retain Equatorial Guinea in the leadership role, which Rwanda's foreign ministry has condemned as a breach of its rights. The U.S. administration under President Donald Trump seeks to facilitate a peace agreement between Congo and Rwanda to encourage Western investment in the mineral-rich region. In other news, Sudan is facing a rapidly spreading cholera outbreak, which officials report over 1,000 new cases daily in the capital, Khartoum, amidst ongoing conflicts in the country. Residents often have access only to contaminated water, a major risk factor for cholera as the civil war has severely damaged the sanitation infrastructure. Nicolas Jean, the head of the Doctors Without Borders mission in Sudan, attributed the surge to inadequate clean water, poor hygiene, and limited access to health care.
Obviously, regarding the consequences of the conflict on the water system, on the health system, on the hygiene of the people, a lot of people got displaced many times, so they didn't have a shelter or even a house.
Health experts warn that the situation could worsen rapidly as displacement centers are overcrowded, making it nearly impossible to isolate infected persons.
Thank you, Lucy. That report brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Let's now move right away to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Professor Mark Anthony AKUHMBOM. Thank you so much, Prof, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. You are of the civil society. Now, the weekend was a busy one, a very busy one to CRM militants. And not only them, but also sympathizers, plus some young people in Cameroon, especially here in Douala, who were massively present in Daido upon the announcement of the return of Professor Maurice Kamto to Douala from Paris, France. Now, let's talk first about the huge crowd. What can we deduce from that sudden mobilization of those valiant young people in Douala last weekend to meet Professor Maurice Kamto?
Thank you very much, Annabella, for your question. I want to begin by saying that what you saw yesterday and over the weekend in Douala actually should be a kind of the desire for change. You saw the large crowds of people that came out. You saw the people that actually were out there. You could actually see hunger for change. So that crowd that you saw was an indirect announcement to the people that Cameroonians need change and they want it by all costs. They don't care who comes into power. They need change at the hem of the nation. That is what I can deduce from it. And the impromptu mobilization, like you mentioned, is actually not an impromptu mobilization. The MRC, in one way or the other, needed to prove to the nation that they are alive, even though they are calling them pity party. Even though people have said Kamto is not supposed to run for elections. Yes, I also believe that constitutionally, in relation to the electoral code, he does not have that opportunity to run for election, but he can run through other parties. So with that, the MRC wanted to use that opportunity to say they are still there, and they did it. They did it. They showed the world. But who gave them that opportunity? The authorities in Littoral gave them the opportunity. They used state resources and gave free promotion, free publicity to Kamto and his party without him paying anything. That was wrong. I don't see any reason why they would have prohibited that meeting. There's no reason. It is but normal that a political leader can have a meeting with his militants in his office. There is no reason. There is no reason to stop him from having that meeting. And so doing what they did yesterday was kind of giving him free publicity, which I feel disappointed with the authorities of Littoral region, sincerely, beginning with the governor and down to the GO.
Now, Professor Anthony, what happened over the weekend, and it also continued today before his departure, can it in one way or the other be described as a foretaste of what is expected this year in Cameroon come October, that will be during and after the elections? Seems the young people mean business this time around, looking at their determination in Daido yesterday in front of the CRM office and even today.
This your question is so tricky. I also want to believe that, like I made mention of earlier, that Cameroonians are tired of the regime and they want change by all costs, and they are ready to do whatever it takes to bring that change into play, even though there is still a lot of fear in the hearts of people. But I want to tell you that to an extent was just a proof that the people are ready for change and they want it. It is true that not everybody is into it, but majority of Cameroonians are like the young people you saw yesterday on the streets. They want change. There were even there's some elderly persons that you saw on the streets. They came out saying they will need change for their children and their grandchildren. Some carried peace plans coming out. That should also tell you that they want change, but not any kind of change, peaceful change. So I think, if I may respond to that question, it's a foretaste of what is going to be coming October and if possible after October, because elections will be right after October. So let's watch and see what happens. It is very important that the government should realize that it's not by muscling people down that they actually get to maintain the regime in place. Though it is time for them to realize that that strategy does not work always. It doesn't, and it shouldn't be used continuously. It can kind of cause people to get to a place where they start retaliating, and it will create instability in the nation. I don't think that there was need for the military to be sent out yesterday, or let's say the forces of law and order. There was no reason why they should have been sent out, but it also helped that they sent them out. We saw their maturity. But what made us and some of us really angry with the whole issue is that the government used free state property, state resources to give promotion to a politician freely like that.
You were already talking, sir, about the military presence that was yesterday and also today. Let's look at the attitudes of those anti-riot police officers who were present in the Edo and even in Bonapriso. They were collaborative somehow this time around as compared to previous years when they were always quick to retaliate. How can this serene attitude of the forces of law and order be understood this time around, Professor Mark Anthony?
Wow. Also looking at the situation yesterday, I was a little bit thrilled because, you know, with the thousands of people that were on the streets, the forces of law and order were so mature. I saw a different face of the forces of law and order in Cameroon, which I've never seen before. Oh, I want to tell them kudos to that. They acted very maturely. They were there like accompanying the people, not creating disorder like at times they used to do. So I want to appreciate the forces of law and order for what they did yesterday. Was so powerful. I'm happy. If that continues, then Cameroon will be stepping towards something better. They did not go out there creating havoc like at times they'll just come the moment they see a crowd, they want to disperse the crowd by using tear gas, by using different means, beating people. They didn't do that. That is proof that in one way or the other, the forces of law and order are being educated on civil demonstration. I want to applaud them for that. It is worth applauding. It is worth applauding. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the interview. I think we are moving towards a brighter face of the nation if only Cameroonians can work together. So to end, I want to say we need Cameroonian youths to register massively so that they can take a good decision come October, and as well as make sure they push their brothers and sisters, young people, into the parliament and into municipal councils in 2026. Let us go and register massively. It's time to do it. Don't wait. Don't wait for the last minute. We have just, I think, weeks to go to close the voters register. So go and register. Thank you very much.
That was a good reminder, sir. Professor Mark Anthony AKUHMBOM, thank you so much for giving us your time this evening to be part of the news on Equinoxe Television, and hope to have you some other time, Prof. And viewers, thank you so much for always being there. That was what we put together for you this evening on the news in the English language on Equinoxe Television. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now. God willing, we will be again tomorrow, same time.